Hi everyone, welcome in. My name is Jana Kay, and this is a Leave It to Stitches Washcloth Workshop. And it is a new series that I am so excited about. I had just posted my the 9 steps that took me from learning how to knit to my goal of creating socks. If you haven't seen that video, I will definitely link it. But when I got to looking at that video and all the analytics, and actually YouTube's AI tool helped out quite a bit. If you haven't tried that, for those of you that are content creators, it's amazing. But basically, it helped me understand and realize that that video, the viewers watched for a longer period of time than any of my other videos, and more longer than the normal. Now, I don't know if that's normal over all of YouTube or over crafters or knitters, crocheters, that kind of thing. But what it basically indicates is that viewers are interested in knitting and wanting to maybe learn how to knit, how to get to the goal, whatever goal that is. For me, it was socks, whatever their goal is, or just learn more, which is what I would really want to do. That is my goal now. So in this series, I'm going to be making washcloths, but it is not a workshop in that I teach you like a tutorial. It is a workshop in where you and I are going to learn together and improve our knitting together and help us get to other goals that we may have for this journey. And so I'm very excited to introduce you to our instructor, and that is this book. So I am actually going to be working through this book called 101 Easy Knit Stitches. I like to call them knit stitch patterns. Stitches would be like a knit or a purl, knit two together, knit front and back, that kind of thing. These are more patterns where all the stitches are put together and they create these beautiful designs. And so, yeah, so this is our instructor. And I don't know where I got the book. You can see it's from Go Crafty, but I'm really thinking I bought it when I was in South Africa. This sticker here tells me that it might have been like at a used bookstore or a discount bookstore. I'm not exactly sure, but I've had it on hand and really think this would help me improve. And so, yeah, so I'm going to work through this. I like the idea of making a washcloth because it's more than just a swatch. It is something small that I can do quickly and practice the pattern over and over again, but also it's practical. I can use it, or I can gift it to someone with hand soap, lotion, kitchen items, that kind of thing, and gift them a washcloth. So, as I said, it is not going to be a tutorial. So I am not teaching certain stitches. However, I will show you how I do the stitches, which is the Continental style, the Continental method of knitting, but especially new stitches that pop up. I've already seen a couple that I don't know, and I will also, besides show you how I do it, I will also try to, if I can find them, link videos that will show how to do those specific stitches English style as well as Continental style. So you can watch me, but you can also check out some other videos if you want to know how to do a knit stitch or a purl stitch, or how to knit front and back, and some of those other things that we will be encountering in this book. But also, I will add in some crochet stitch patterns, and maybe even some Tunisian crochet patterns. I haven't tried every crochet stitch. In fact, other than the cross stitch, I have really never done any type of cabling, and I would really like to try and find out if I like cabling or if I don't like cabling. But I'd like to know. I've done pretty much the Tunisian simple stitch, but not really any others. And a small project, I think, is great, like I said, for being able to be used or be gifted. So I will add those in. Now, I will say that I don't know that I'm going to put out a video every week. We'll see how it goes at the beginning, because I have so many other projects on the go, and I have 2 more that I want to start. And so, yeah, I don't know that I can get so good work on those projects and get a washcloth done every week, but we'll see. It may be up and down, it may be every other week, and then sometimes it will be every week. We'll see how it goes. So welcome in to the first of our washcloth workshops. And in this video, we're going to be doing the mock rib stitch. So I'm learning it along with you. And since this is the first ever washcloth workshop on my channel, I will show you how I cast on just the regular long tail cast on, and how I do a knit and a purl stitch, because that is what is in the pattern. I have looked at the instructions, and that's what's in the pattern. But I will also, as I said, put in a link to doing those stitches English style as well. So I'm excited. Let's get started. Okay, we are starting the mock rib, but I wanted to show you this. I think because it's a stitch pattern, it's okay to show you the pattern, but really what I wanted you to notice is the chart. So I may zoom in a little bit so you can see it, but it's really cool. I didn't really get this till I was looking closer at it. So the stitch key, so you have on the right side, if it's blank, the square's blank, it's a knit stitch. If it's got a line, it's a purl stitch. So up here, if we look at 1, it would be knit, purl, knit. And then on the wrong side, it is the opposite. So if it is blank, it's a purl stitch. If it's got a line, it's a knit stitch. So row 2, if you're on the wrong side, you are purling across. But what's really cool is that, let's say you're doing it in a circle. You're doing a hat or a pair of socks. Then you're only ever always on the right side. So row 1 would be knit, purl, knit, and row 2 or round 2 would be all knit stitches, because you are only looking at the right side. I thought that was really so interesting. Anyway, we are on the mock rib. So I am going to be using scrap cotton that I have on hand. A lot of it is Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. Much of it doesn't have a label like this one. But yes, that is what I'm going to be using. It is a 4-weight yarn, and I'm going to be using a 5 millimeter, there it is, a 5 millimeter hook. And this is, I use Chalgu. I use different ones. I have a set of interchangeable needles that's actually Knit Pro, called the Carbons. But this one is Chalgu and US size 8, it looks like, and a 5.0 millimeter hook. The nice thing is using 4-weight yarn makes a quicker project because the yarn is thicker, you're using a bigger needle, you don't need as many stitches, and so it should go fairly quickly and be able to make a washcloth in a short amount of time. Our pattern says to cast on a multiple of 2 stitches plus 1. So I've done a washcloth before in knit. It was around 32 to 36 stitches. I'm gonna do 34. That's my multiple of 2 plus 1 makes 35. So I do a long tail cast on. And for socks, I measure, like I hold it, the yarn, where's my end? Here it is. I hold the yarn in my hand and then draw it up my arm and measure. So I'm going to measure all the way up to my shoulder and then add a little bit extra on. So I'm going to measure that out and then I will do my long tail cast on with you. So I have this is my working yarn, this is my yarn tail, and so I'm going to do my slip knot for the end. Trying to do it through the camera screen. And I'm wearing my microphone so that if I lean close to my phone or farther away, hopefully my voice will come out with the same sound quality or same volume. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is my yarn tail right here, and the back here is my working yarn. So I put my working yarn over my first finger, put my yarn tail over my thumb, and I'm holding with my other 3 fingers like this. So this is how you do a long tail cast on. So you take your needle, you go up under that first thread, then you go around the back that's coming out over your first finger and pull it through right there. Let go and pull on the yarn tail to tighten. So let's do it again. Go under the first loop coming around your thumb, grab that back that's going over your first finger and pull it through the loop and tighten. I'll do it again. You can always slow the speed down if you need to. So I go under the first and then go back, pick up that loop going over my finger and pull it through, hold it, and then pull it tight. And I always pull the yarn tail. So I've got 4 because I've got the slip knot plus 3 stitches. So do it again. So you're like this. You go under that first part that's going around your thumb and open it and make a loop. Then come to the back, the one that's going around your first finger, grab on and pull it through that loop and then tighten your yarn tail. All right, I'll do a little bit faster motion. You can always slow it down. Sorry, the scraping is my watch because I'm trying to look around my phone at my fingers. See if I can do it using, oh, I split
I'm going to take that one off, so if something happens, you just slide it off and do it again. My yarn split. Let's try to do it without splitting. There we go. And through. And I always try to keep it straight, keep it from twisting like this. All right. Oops, I picked up two. All right, let me grab it again. Stretch it out. Pick up just the one that's coming from around your finger closest to you. Pull through. All right, I'm going to do a couple without talking. And always make sure that your yarn tail is towards you. It's the one that's going over your thumb, your yarn tail. All right, stop and count, see how many I have. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. All right, I'm going to do the rest. If you need to go back or slow it down, you can, but I'm going to finish casting on. I'm halfway there, 17, so I just need 17 more plus 1. So, so I will meet you back as soon as I get the rest cast on. Okay, I have got my 35 stitches cast on, so we are ready to start row 1. And row 1 is knit 1, and then you alternate purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. We will end the row with a knit 1, so that's why it's a multiple of 2 plus 1, because we're going to start and end with a knit. And row 2 is just purling. On the wrong side, we are just going to purl. So I do Continental, and that means that I hold the yarn. So this is my yarn tail. So I'm not going to hold it. It's quite long. But I hold the yarn in my left hand, and I hold it very much like I do when I crochet, except that I wrap the yarn twice around my little finger. And so, yeah, that's how I hold it. And then um, I cast, I guess you call it cast on with this finger instead of holding and throwing my thread around. Or some people will flick their thread with their right hand. I do everything with my left hand like I would with crochet. So knit, to knit, you go in from the front, and we go in front, and it's actually going from the left to the right, and then wrap your yarn around your needle and then pull through, and that is a knit stitch. All right, so the next stitch is a purl stitch. So for purl, you want the yarn in the front. Now some people like pull it way far down in front. I just make sure that my needle is going back, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's just my needle is going behind into that loop behind this yarn. So I'll pull this yarn in front, but basically you now go from right to left through that stitch, just like that, through that stitch right there, from right to left. Then I always hold my yarn right there, and then I use this finger and push it down and hold it, and then pull it through the loop, and that's a purl stitch. All right, knit stitch, go from left to right, wrap the yarn, hold it, and pull it through that loop. And now we're going to purl, so bring the yarn in front, go from right to left, hold it, wrap that yarn around, and pull it through that loop. Knit, go in front, left to right, yarn around, and pull through that loop, and then purl, yarn in front, go through that loop from right to left, yarn around, and pull it through. Sometimes I will use my middle finger to pull that yarn down when I purl. All right, knit, I'm just going to do it. You can watch, slow it down. Now this is scooping. I have the yarn is resting here on my middle finger, so when I go from left to right, then I will pick up that yarn and scoop it through the hole as well. So you may see me, oops, sorry to shake the camera. You may see me do that. All right, purl in front, wrap the yarn around, and purl through. Knit, purl. Some of my cast on may be tight. Knit, purl, and I gotta wrap my yarn again. Pull out some yarn. There we go. Knit, purl, knit, purl. That one's tight. Knit, purl, knit, purl. I'm going to do that slow again. I keep kicking my camera. Sorry. So sorry. All right, I'm going to do it again. Knit. So my yarn is laying over my finger. So when I go through that stitch, and when you go through, make sure you're going above the knot. Then I just scoop it up and through. And then purl. Make sure it's going behind your working yarn and around, and pull through. If you don't get the scoop, don't worry about it. You just go through, wrap your yarn around, and pull down. And you may see too that my yarn really stretches right here. It really stretches there. That's okay. It'll all work out in the end. So, okay, I forgot where I was. That's a knit, that's a purl, that's a knit, right? Now I got to go back and count really quick. All right. Knit. That's right. So I'm purling now. So yarn in front and purl, knit, knit, purl. Oops, don't split the yarn. Knit, purl, knit, purl. That happens. I need to reset my fingers. All right. So I'm ending in a knit. So I want to purl, knit, purl. So I'm on purl, purl. There we go. And I'm going to stretch that out because it does keep bunching up. Knit, purl. And last one is a knit stitch. There we go. Really cool. And you can kind of see those purl bumps right there. So knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Pretty. All right, we're going to turn. And then the next row is a fun one. It is all purl. But one of the things that I found is that I practiced knit and purl fairly evenly doing the moss stitch, and that is in our book, and it really made purling easy. And I think, honestly, I just think when I do this Continental, and it seems like people that do Continental complain less about having to do purl stitches. But I'll do a couple of purl stitches and then I will purl across the row and meet you back. All right, so I've turned the work and now we're going to purl. All right, so yarn in the front. So I'm going to move my yarn to the front and I'm going to hold it down so that I'll come a little closer. Maybe you can see it. Let's see if I push this. Push my yarn back a little, give some room. Maybe. See, we're all trying together. Here we go. That's why I'm not teaching the workshop. I'm participating in the workshop. Okay, so I'm going to pull my yarn down so that now I can go from right to left and make sure you avoid the knot. Now, don't worry that it looks messy. I'm going to hold it, wrap the yarn down, and then pull it through. There you go. And slide it off. It doesn't look pretty, but it will straighten up. That's the nice thing about knit and ribbing is that it is so forgiving at times. There we go. So now I can just keep purling along. Okay, so I'm getting into a rhythm of purling, even with my arms wrapped around my phone, my camera. I'm getting in a rhythm of purling, so I'm going to leave you to purl across this row and I will meet you at the end of this row. There we go. See you in a minute. Okay, I am on my last purl. Oops, gotta put the yarn in the front. There we go, my last purl stitch. And ready to then turn my work. So all those purl stitches, look at those nice little purl bumps on the back side. And when we turn our work on the front side, it looks like this. Very pretty. All right, so now the right side is the alternate knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl stitches. All right, so make sure my yarn tail is in the front and we will start out then. Some people put their stitches right on the end. I just can't because I'm always so worried they're just going to fall off when I'm not ready for them to fall off. And so, yeah, so I don't do that. All right, so there's my first knit. And then I'm going to purl. and then I knit, oops, purl, and a lot of times, oops, there we go, purl. I say these out loud. Knit and purl so that I hear myself. The last thing I said was purl. And then it's knit. And then it's purl. All right, so I'm going to continue that. See if I can get my purl stitch through. You'll see me alternate. Sometimes when I do a purl stitch, I can just move my first finger down, but sometimes I'll use my middle finger to also press that stitch down. You'll see me do it both ways throughout all of these workshops. So, all right, I'm going to finish knitting and purling all the way across. And we'll see you back at the end. I thought for a minute my video wasn't recording, but it is. So we'll see you at the end of this row. Okay, I have 2 more stitches. I just did knit, now it's purl, and then we end with a knit stitch, and that is the end of that row. And so that is the knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl row. And then on the wrong side, we turn our work and we do an all purl row. So this one, remember, when you start with the yarn in the front, I always take my middle finger and hold that yarn down so that I can go from right to left, and then I wrap it around, pull it with my middle finger again, and pull it through. The first one is always, for me, when you're purling, the first stitch always the trickiest, and then it gets a little easier. So purl across, we'll see what this looks like, and yeah, when we get to the end, we'll have 4 rows done, 2 repeats, and see what it looks like so far. See you at the end of this row. All right, I'm coming up on my last 4 stitches, last 4 purls. Last one. The yarn is pulling tight off the ball. There we go. Okay. So that is what it looks like on the back side of our work. And this is what it looks like on the front side of our work. Isn't that pretty? You can see that it's making a mock rib. So 2 row repeat, row front side, which is what we would be on right now. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Then the wrong side, purl straight across. All right, we'll see you back with the finished washcloth.
So I'm a little over halfway there. You can see right here. Yep, I did make a mistake. Ended up, I'm not sure if on the purl row I was trying to do knit, purl, or if on the knit, purl row, the first row, I just did too many purl. I'm not sure, but I didn't notice till I got up a little further, and I'm not going back and fixing it. It's just going to be a cute little blip, but what a pretty pattern it is.
All right, so this is what my washcloth has turned out to look like. And yes, I am still keeping this little mistake that I made in there, but I really love the way it worked up. I love the feel of the fabric. It's got some squish to it. And obviously I really like Hobby Lobby's cotton yarn. So I am going to bind off. So the last row I did the repeat, which was the first row where you knit, purl, alternate that across the row. And now I'm going to bind off purl-wise on the other side so that it finishes a full repeat of rows 1 and 2. And I have linked below a channel that I went to see how to bind off purl-wise. She does do it English style where she flicks. She doesn't wrap, but she flicks, but she still does it English style. I do it Continental style so that you will be able to see both. So let me take off my stopper and get this set up with my camera so hopefully you can see the process of binding off purl-wise. So what I found is that when you bind off purl-wise, I'm going to put my needle on the other side, have the yarn going over my cord. There we go. All right. That you purl, but then you put the yarn in the back when you slip one stitch over the other. So I'm going to move this a little closer in so that you can see. All right. So I'm going to and I'm a slow knitter, so be patient, or you can speed it up if you want to do that. But I'm going to purl the first stitch. It's always that first stitch that's kind of tricky. Purl the second stitch. Get that right. All right, purl the second stitch. That looks better. And then I'm going to move my yarn to the back and make sure it's in the back when I slip. And you get to see the full effect of struggling to slip the stitch. One over the other and pull that off. There you go. My first slip stitch. And please make sure you slip loosely. I have to keep telling myself. All right, I'm going to leave you to it and I'm going to go do that. And again, I have linked below a great tutorial for binding off purl-wise if that's what you choose. You could do it knit-wise from the other side all the way across. It won't matter. Whatever way you like and it feels comfortable to you, as we are learning it together in this workshop. So I will see you back with the finished washcloth after I have bound off. Okay, well, I completed it. There it is. Look at that beautiful mock rib stitch. By the way, if you are hearing some drumming, it is my son next door practicing, and hopefully that is not too loud or irritating, but I really wanted to get this filmed and show you this beautiful square. I love the way it turned out, but yep, I really do need to practice my binding off, whether that's purl side or knit side. I can do a lot better. In fact, look, there's a mistake right there. Yep. And then the knot and even a little bit loose tension right here. Yeah, I need some practice on my bind off. And I have also decided that I think it would look much better if I did some kind of frame, like a garter stitch frame. So I think the next time, the next square that I do, I will start out with a frame. But I really love it. I love the color of this yarn. And so this one will be a washcloth I keep for my own personal use, and won't be one that I gift, but hopefully the next one will be. So I'd love to know, did you make a square along with me? How did yours turn out? Did you struggle with anything? Yeah, let me know your experience. And the next washcloth workshop, we will be looking at the cartridge rib stitch, and that is what it will look like. So I can't wait for the next one and getting started on that and learning the cartridge rib stitch. So again, let me know if you made a washcloth along with me and how it turned out. You can actually put photos on my community page. I'd love to see them and see what yours look like. And yeah, we'll see you in the next washcloth workshop. Have a great day. Bye.